January 6th commission. I watched that thing live with some friends of mine. I was like, whoa, look what is happening. I didn't know shit was going to turn out that way. And it was wild. Like, it was wild to watch. But it wasn't as wild as what's been going on with the manipulation across our country and the subversion that has come in several forms, all kind of for the perfect storm. It was wild. It would have been especially wild if people were really doing violent shit. It was no more violent than a BLM riot, but I think it was actually less violent and less murderous than what I was seeing from the BLM, and less theft, although I think some stuff did get stolen, than what was going on in the summer of 2020. And man, like, you know, people would have to really come at me hard and call me a white supremacist to attack me on this and try to, like, manipulate my perspective to make it look like it was absurd or something like that. Not saying it can't be absurd, but this particular thing, I mean, I was here too. I watched it. I experienced it with people. And, yeah. I don't know what was going on. I don't think anyone did. But to say it's like 9/11, like people literally jumping out of a building holding hands because it was burning, it was going to either burn them alive and melt their body or take a suicide jump. Like, that's, you can't compare those things. Ashley Babbitt got shot, what, in the face or the chest or something? She was a former soldier that went through a window in the Capitol building, and one of the agents there just capped her. That was like the first big thing. But everything else besides that is portrayed as like the big thing. And it's like the big thing was Ashley Babbitt getting fucking shot. What are you talking about? I'm not saying January 6th wasn't crazy and that it didn't happen or didn't happen exactly like some people say, but there are quite a few exaggerations. And in those exaggerations, it's like, you know, why do that? Why do that? And I mean, I know why. It's to build this like hyperbolic fucking echo chamber of nonsense. Truly, right? It's fucking bizarre behavior. But they keep on doing it. Why? Because it's an ideological mess. People have been programmed to be this way, demoralized, unsure, having strong opinion about like many things they're not well educated on. I've seen like tons of people with opinions on stuff like basically being like, well, it's totally fair that you shouldn't be able to see your family ever again if you haven't had something put in your body that was experimental and we haven't seen the full consequences of, because time actually matters in science. It just, you cannot separate these things. And that's one of the weirdest things I noticed, is that people constantly want to separate like really basic fundamentals of science from reality, and the you can't say that time doesn't matter. It just so happens to be a big one of the biggest factors we have in science. Anyways, yeah, that's where this stuff goes. It really does. It ends up, there's this like ideological progression thing that happens, and it's kind of like ensnares people, and I want to say this web of bullshit. anything from the 6th to the injection to the pro-Trump, anti-Trump ideologues, all of it, man. It's just amplifying harder and harder, and now it's Ukraine. It's a little bit of everything. It's meant to be this way. Yuri Bezmenov described this, but the thing that I don't know if Yuri realized it. I'm sure he realized it to some degree. He kind of hints towards it. Is this isn't just a subversion to take over America, because you don't just take over America. If you take over America, you take over the world. And whoever wins these propaganda wars, or whoever is currently winning the propaganda wars, is kind of dictating and controlling the world. It's just the way it is. People don't mention the Weather Underground much at all. It's bizarre to me. But, what do I know? I don't know about that many people. I don't have that many eyes. But I just don't see it being talked about all that much. I see a lot. And for people not to even know who Bill Ayers is, and to understand that the goal after the Weather Underground tried to bomb the Capitol building was to then reform education. So it was a bunch of socialist extremists that when they decided that the bombing of the political buildings was going to be too much, they switched gears. They decided that they wanted to come after the children in the 70s and on. That would be like, old Gen X and down. Gen X, millennials, Gen Z. I mean, I think it's obvious that a subversion happened, a demoralization over the past 30 years. I've been alive through this, and, maybe it's my bias. Maybe it's the way I see things. Totally could be. And I wish I was wrong is the thing that pisses me off the most. I would rather be so wrong about so many things. And we're all talking about the same thing now. Like, that's the thing. That's because it's real. The issue is now is that the misinformation, disinformation, and newly formed malinformation are rampant. They're coming from governments all over the world. They're coming from corporations, organizations, institutions, experts. It's like haptic feedback overload, limbic system overload. And when you install a neurosis program into that, like COVID, and who knows now, monkeypox, whatever thing is going to be objectified as the main point of neurosis, then that's how it will be. We all have a choice. We all have a decision to make. I think everyone should prepare for the worst, hope for the best, always aim towards building their communities together. I think that makes it more simple. I think if you have people in a community, it at least can make it easier and make sense when things get more difficult. You can lean on one another. I think after a while, like, once you've been a part of a community, in a community that, like, you're actually trying to help those people, and they're actually trying to help you and work with you however you can or they can. I think once people are part of that, they realize how invaluable that is. you can't put a price on people. People can be inherently helpful and useful to one another. We're creative beings, and the different ways that we can help each other is really what matters. So learning more skills as the days go on tends to be things we want to do. Be hyper generalists. Be as good at as many things as possible. I have lots of work to do. So do you.